Maru has been happily turtling his way to success in Terran vs Zerg over the last half year or so. And so far, honestly, he's just been perfecting it. He's been trying to build that ultimate Terran death ball. So far, I really haven't seen a lot of players manage to stop this man. So, in the top right-hand corner of Data C, playing here with the Red Terran SCVs from South Korea, we have a Maru, the rank 1 Terran player in the world. His opponent, or challenger in this particular game, playing here with the Blue Zerg drones, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2 and a legend in his own right, we are looking at Dark's main hatchery. Now, from what I've heard, and again, I haven't seen this game yet, but from what I've heard, apparently Dark decides to go for a bit of a different approach in this particular game, as he decides to build swarm hosts. Now, there's going to be people watching this video that have either not heard the word swarm host, or I guess the two-word swarm host in like literally years, and there's probably even people watching this that aren't even familiar with the unit in the first place. The swarm host is by far the least used Zerg unit, and I honestly kind of like it that way because, well, there were periods in StarCraft 2 where the swarm host was ridiculously overpowered. The free unit design in StarCraft 2 has always been a point of debate. Let's leave it at that when it comes to balance discussions. So it's a very uncommon unit, and apparently Dark decides to bring it out in his top-level game of Zerg vs Terran. So I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two. Because of that, though, I don't really expect any shenanigans. Although Dark could go for like a roach push in the early game. I have seen that in the past. So real quick about the Swarm Host. It's a unit that is very heavy on supply. And while the spawn locust button is on cooldown, you can't really use it very well. So one of the problems you run into with Swarm Host play is that, sure, it can deal a lot of damage, sure, it can be very cost efficient, but half of the time you literally do not have a fighting army, and usually going for like 80 drones or so and Swarm Host isn't really a great option. Most of the time that we've seen Swarm Host, at the very least over the last couple of years, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this game will make me reconsider, but most of the time we see Swarm Host played off of like maybe 66 workers or so at most. Anyhow, Reaper going across the map. Maru just scouted out the natural right there of the Zerg player. He saw that it was indeed safe to go ahead and send that unit across. Will the third base start up? I believe that the timings here are perfect, yes. Maru could have tried to, at the very least, move on over there, but he didn't even, he knew that that timing there from the Zerg would be on point. He knew that there was no way that he was really going to be able to get any damage hit. All right. Reaper harassment starts off. Good control here so far by the Zerg, not losing anything. Now that the Queen is out, that Reaper will be pushed back. It's low enough HP as well, I believe, yeah, to go for a creep tumor, and there's really nothing that the Terran player can do about it. What he could do, though, is go into the main base right here. There's a nice little jump-up pad in the corner of the main. Another Queen, though, is going to be able to push that back, and that's what Maru is looking for right now. He's looking for a potential roach warren. He wants to see how much gas is being mined. And upon seeing that there was only a single drone right there in the gas geyser, Maru can, unless his opponent is playing a trick on him, right? He can already sort of like cross that potential Zerg build off of the list. Because if this would have been a Zerg push, early game that is, he probably would have gone for additional drones back into the gas a little bit quicker. So these guys are picking up on very minimal amounts of information. There's a very good chance Maru will still follow this up with a tech lab here on the barracks here in a second, and then go for a switcheroo and go for a Banshee, just because it's still a solid opener, but he doesn't necessarily have to, I don't think, in this particular match. Alright, so let's see now. He's going to go Viking first at the very least, popping out a couple of Hellions at once, opting to go for that very quick third command center as well. This is one of those strats that is very popular at the pro level. Pretty difficult, though, to execute below the pro level, because you need to be very good at that very minimal amounts of scouting, and you need to figure out exactly what the opponent is going for. That is a pretty quick third gas. Okay, I was going to say, that gas was pretty quick, so we actually see a fusion core here from Mr. Maru. Interesting. So I, by the way, don't know if he's going to be playing that turtle style, right? I just know that this is a long game of TVZ where Maru plays. So I think it's fair to assume he wants to go for that more turtley approach, but apparently he's taken, at the very least, a bit of a different path this time around, as he planted down the fusion core. And the only reason why you would go for a fusion core at this point in the game is if you want to go for battle cruisers. Now, Dark did just now see the second gas, but he hasn't seen the gas over here in the natural, so he doesn't really know exactly what he's going up against, but apparently he does feel safe enough to go for pretty quick Evo chambers here. And honestly, I don't know if that's the correct approach. Usually, your best bet against battle cruiser openers, at the very least, usually you want to try and get a Spire out as soon as possible. The Spire allows you to produce Corruptors, and Corruptors can really push those units away. Now, obviously, there's a couple of varieties as well. This is apparently now becoming a very strategic video, but there's a couple of varieties as well when it comes to the battlecruiser openers. In some versions, we just see one battlecruiser. Sometimes we see 3 battlecruisers, and sometimes we see, like, even more than that. At this point, it's hard to say which Maru is, or what Maru is going to be opting for. Second factory, third factory coming up. Okay. Neat. So I do think he's gonna, yeah, I do think he's gonna turtle. As in, like, he is probably gonna play a very defensive game overall, but Maru is jumping straight towards Terran mech. So the style he's been playing recently is bio first. Eventually he gets like a dozen ghosts out, and then he transitions towards mech as the Marines and Marauders fall. So usually he will go for ghost mech. That's his ultimate unit composition. In this particular case, though, he's apparently skipping the bio altogether, and he's going straight for mech. Now, here's the battlecruiser. Where are we gonna go? Alright, we're jumping together with the Hellions. This is the first time as well that Dark sees these units. No Spore Crawler present, but a beautiful arc right here, to be honest, from the Zerg. Yeah, that concave is pretty much flawless. Great defense right there from Dark. Really doesn't get much better than that. Yeah, that's a great example as to why we don't really see battlecruiser openers very much at the top of the level, or at the highest level of StarCraft 2. Because even though this was completely unscouted, this battlecruiser did less than a Banshee would have, right? And it's significantly more expensive, especially if you take into account the cost right there of the fusion core as well. Hellions desperately trying to drive into that mineral line, but Maru doesn't want to sacrifice the units either. And right now, there's a ton of Zerglings available. Okay, good catch right here as well, though, from the Terran player. Yep. Snatches a couple of those Zerglings relatively easily. A few links did go across. Great control right there by Maru, though, plugging the Hellion right there in that hole. But even though, he almost loses another Hellion right there, that was a really stellar defense as well here from the Terran. Alright, so there is another battlecruiser coming up, but not at the conventional timing. So this is a mech transition. At this point, Dark does not know. Dark at this point also doesn't really respect his opponent's, battlecruiser start very much at all, because he's not even planted down the Spire. If you're a ladder hero, I highly recommend you plant down the Spire regardless, even if it's only a single battlecruiser, but apparently in this particular game, Dark's like, nah. Alright, Queens will do the trick. So, we did see the Infestation Pit coming up. There's the Nidus network, together with Swarm hosts. Now, I'm very curious... By the way, that bailing run by did nothing. I'm very curious to see how many Swarm hosts he produces and how many workers he's gonna sit on. Because Swarm hosts, again, they are a relatively delicate unit. Honestly, a lot of it comes down to the very first Locust wave. So real quick, these guys, they can spawn a bunch of Locusts, but then the ability is on cooldown for quite a while, okay? So a Zergling is going to provide vision here to plant down a Nidus worm on the other side of the map. The idea being that you pop out the Locust, right? You pop out the Locust out of the Swarm host, and then you pop the Swarm host back into the Nidus worm, which will, well, put him to safety. This is the, oh my god, perfect scan right there from Maru. Sometimes these guys look like they're meth hacking, man. That was a mental scan. Did you see that? He's like, he just heard the growl of the Nidus worm. He's like, that's where it's at. Crazy stuff. I don't think he had any additional information. So this first Locust wave, absolutely denied. That did absolutely nothing. And that's super important, because now for quite a while, those Locusts will be on cooldown. Yeah, a little bit of creep was... Or, yeah, he spread a little bit of creep over here, but really nothing out of the ordinary. Another scan over there. Dude, Maru, that was beautiful again as well. Maru is thinking, you know, if I were a Zerg player, where would I put the next Nidus worm? And so far, he is reading his opponent like a book. That being said, though, apparently Dark is doubling down on the Swarm host play. He's gonna go up to what seems to be 18 Swarm hosts. So that is 54 supply, right? I don't do math in a video, Rocco. Never do math in a video. Anyways, 54 army supply, give or take. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't want to check. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a very dangerous amount of supply to get caught up in units that can't really attack half of the time. Okay, here go the Locusts once again this time around. Okay, it looks like at least one siege tank. 2 siege tanks? Yeah, 2 siege tanks. I think Maru at this point, his best bet is to try and max out. And I love the addition right here of a couple of Cyclones as well. They're going to be really good when it comes to microing back and forth against that Locust army. I think his best bet is to try and max out, get the best upgrades he can, and then eventually just like steamroll through the center of the map. Maybe do some counterattacks with battlecruisers. Not a bad idea. I mean, if there's swarm hosts right now, there's not going to be a lot of supply that is available here for the Zerg player to make corruptors. So obviously the main issue here for Zerg is that he's maxed, right? Like this is as big as his army is going to be, and it's really not that big. Okay, he's just trying to pick off siege tanks though, and I actually do kind of like that. Yeah, another couple of tanks do end up going down. This is the problem though. This is the rest of the Zerg force. It's really not that menacing at all. Battlecruisers in the meantime being annoying. They do have tactical jump available, so they can jump back home whenever they like. Notice as well how Maru is the one at 97 workers and Dark here at 69. That's nice for the Terran, I would say. Even though Dark was... Anyways, doesn't matter. Nice little bit of shoveling there with the battlecruiser positioning. Looks like actually the Zergals are retargeted with the Spore Crawler. Of course he did. Next Locust Wave coming right up. Once again, splitting them up, trying to target whatever they can. Okay. Here go the Banelings. These Banelings are hunting down the planetary. Does he have enough to kill it? It does look like he will have enough. And that's actually a super important part of this. In the meantime, though, battlecruisers in the main base still being annoying. Getting these upgrades would be huge as well. Okay, they are going to jumping back home to try and aid out with this defense. Oh my god, the corrosive vials. Intercepting the tactical jump. Nicely done right there by the Zerg player from South Korea. Still has all those swarm hosts though, right? He still has all of those swarm hosts, just sort of chilling here. Going for another Nidus Worm. I do believe, yep, he will activate it as soon as it's available, so got to be flying this forward once more. Okay. The next step, though, in the plan right here of Maru is coming right up. He's going into Ghosts. I don't really know exactly how good Ghosts are. Oh, the +1 infantry armor right there did get denied. I don't really know exactly how good Ghosts are in this circumstance, but what I do know is that Terran really doesn't have a whole lot of money. Considering they had like 90 plus 97, I think is what I said. He really never secured that big of an economy here in the amount of bases that he's got mining. So he's sort of stuck right now on 4 command centers. 4th one not even up here. So where's he going to take the next base? Right over here seems to be difficult. Right down here seems to be a tricky one too. So maybe this means that Maru is going to be forced into... Well, we've seen him pull rabbits out of hats in these similar scenarios before, right? But maybe it means that he's going to be forced to go for one big assault straight through the center of the map. Dark has already put creep though on all of the future expansions here from the Terran. I wonder if doubling down on battlecruisers would be a good idea. Probably not. Okay. So that Baneling run by is not very common actually with Swarm Host play, but it does make a lot of sense if you've built up a bit of a bank. Sometimes when playing Swarm Host, you can find yourself with like tons, like thousands of resources. Okay, once again splitting up the Locust really nicely. That was 3 siege tanks. Maybe not. Anyways, there's a bunch of siege tanks once again going down. He's going ultras? We're going ultra +3/+3. So that's no armor upgrade, right? Yeah, he's got +2 armor, but he's going missile and melee first. Very interesting approach right here from Dark. And maybe this is the counter to that style that Maru has been playing lately, right? Now, obviously, there's a bit of a different approach. Because I don't think you can play Swarm Host as a battlecruiser going down, but I don't think you can play Swarm Host against the Marine Marauder opener, so that's why I was curious to cast this game as well. I was like, how in the world did he pull that off? But apparently Maru going into mech may very well be his downfall here. Well, I say that. His army is still super scary. He is a bit late on the 3/3 upgrades. Okay, here we go again. Another wave of Banelings rolling into the planetary fortress. Alright. 18 additional SCVs end up going down there as well. And there's gonna be a point in this game, I believe, where those Swarm Hosts will be traded out, and then suddenly Zerg will remax on a scary big army that Maru just does not expect. Like, Maru at this point does not know what the follow-up to this play is going to be, right? He has no idea. Now, don't get me wrong. Ultras aren't the best Zerg unit, but when they suddenly show up with like a dozen of them, it is very difficult to, well, snipe them down. Well, he does have to snipe, I guess. Okay, woo. Almost losing a bunch of the ghosts right there, but... This is not a very big Terran force anymore at all. Look at the minimap. Zerg has just basically painted the entire map in creep. He's taken as many of the expos as he could possibly need. Pathogen glands coming up as well, so that's the Infestor energy upgrade. Basically, Dark is preparing himself to transition towards anything. He really doesn't have that big of a bank, though, just because he's never really had a lot of workers, right? Once again, here we go. Banelix trying to roll in. This time around, it's an orbital command. I love that. I think the orbital here at the 4th base makes a lot more sense than a planetary fortress. Not like roaches and ravagers are going to push in here, but the creep is already so far forward. 15 additional SCVs end up going down. Maru, you need to make a move, my man. I don't think you really... Like, I think he's probably waiting until 3-3 is done here. I don't think you can really sit here and slowly die. Because if you are going to sit here and not do anything, I do believe that Dark is just going to overwhelm you over the course of the next few minutes. He knows very well that you are mined out on the bases that you've got. And if that's the case, what exactly are you going to do to change the tide of battle? Alright. Bunch of additional units once again end up going down. One of the issues, right, when you're so stuck on these amounts of siege tanks is that you have to unsiege in order to move them, right? Which sounds very obvious. The problem is that you can't really get aggressive with just siege tanks. So it's good for the base defense over here. Kind of, anyways. But it's very difficult to actually attack with, especially if you need so many scans to get rid of all of that creep. By the time that you finally get across the map, I've got a feeling that... Oh, well, apparently ghosts are good against those units too. By the time that you get across the map, Zerg is going to remax on an army that is going to be very good against those siege tanks. Okay, a couple of lift-ups over there, and honestly, I think this game has taught us that Terran mech may very well not be that great of an option in the current meta of StarCraft 2, because Dark saw it for about half a heartbeat. I think he noticed one battlecruiser. I don't know if he even saw the additional factories at that point yet, but he decided to go straight. Maybe he saw that there was no Stimpec or something along those lines, or maybe he saw the amount of Hellions. There was a giveaway anyways that indicated to Dark that it was going to be a mech approach, and as soon as Dark saw that, he did not hesitate, or he did not hesitate at all. He decided to go straight into, well, the swarm hosts. And so far, seems to be working quite well for him. Now, this is still Maru we're talking about. I don't really want to do the caster thing where I, you know, will fake hype up this game. But I have seen Maru pull rabbits out of hats in the past. He really needs a new base, like very desperately. This expo over here is running out. The one up north also running out. He really needs this base. So the creep right now is disappearing because of all of the, well, structures gone. The creep tumor is also destroyed. The ghost scout is looking rather scary. Okay, and he is going to be able to secure another expansion over there. I do believe it's going to be a planetary, though, which I don't know if I agree with. How many tanks have gone down this game? 13. Yeah, not bad at all. Once again, though, the roaches and ravagers and banelings and zerglings just coming in. As soon as Maru put all of his defenses over here on the left side of the map, well, Dark decided to come in through the right. I don't think he's shown his opponent an Ultralisk yet, and maybe he's waiting until the ghost count has dwindled away a little bit. Here comes Maru, though. And this is a scary army. Like, the Zerg force really is not that big because of the amount of swarm hosts here. Especially if you start giving away a bunch of units, I don't know if that's a great idea. This is very Hellbat Ghost heavy, and I think Banelings are indeed the right call against both of those units. Okay. That Locust Wave absolutely did nothing, and now suddenly Maru is actually on the prowl. This is what I was talking about. I don't want to fake hype up a game, but this is very scary. These Banelings need to get maximum amount of damage done. Good splits here so far by Maru, although, okay, those Banelings there on the right side definitely did a good job. Battle Cruisers, though, still up in the air. 33 and 32 kills. Well, I guess make it 34 for those bad boys. Zerg reinforcements are showing up, but what are you going to make? I guess he's going back to Roach Ling? Baneling? Honestly? No way, Maru. That's not possible, right? Oh my god, Maru, you absolute madman. Imagine if one of those 3 battle cruisers, right, that he had earlier, like if they all 3 were still available here. Imagine if those ghosts were not a little bit too clumped up just now in that previous engagement against those. Oh my god, okay, he is gonna be forced to retreat. That was scary. Maru kills another base though. And Dark, he's broke. Dark at this point does not have a lot of money. New expansion was just secured for Maru. He decided to go for an orbital there, which I do agree with, although he's gonna need some new siege tanks or at least something here to actually defend that position out on the map. Maru. Maru's so scary, man. I love casting Maru games. If that was anyone else, don't lose the battle cruisers. Okay, if that was anyone else, fairly sure this would have been a Zerg win about 5 minutes ago. Alright. Here we go again. Next Locust wave. How many Swarmos do we have? Only 11 available at this point. 11 is still nice. I wonder if Dark put a little bit too much money into upgrades that aren't actually, like, serving him in any way, right? He got pathogen glands, he got those ultras, the cavern, and everything else. He spent thousands of resources on things that haven't really come out in this game. Yeah, so maybe he was thinking, okay, this game is in the bag. There's no way that I really lose this, so I guess I'll just set myself up for literally any possibility here. Which, in theory, was a good idea, but then Maru. then Maru happened. Okay, here we go again. Locust Wave trying to get some work done, but nicely done right there by the Terran player. Maru's a very dangerous player, man. Come on, how in the world is he still here? 105 army supply of Terran versus 128 for Zerg, with a lot of that supply caught up in swarm hosts, is actually very, very scary. This may very well turn out to be a Maru win. Well, here he comes. He's gonna try. The Banelings, though, coming in from the side. Good splits. Apparently, you do not need Marines and Marauders to go for splits. That was a very sweet little move. Mineral line over here, though. Very vulnerable, and this may... No, never mind. I was gonna say, this may... Ooh. Okay. This may turn the tide of this game. Not quite. Well... Yeah, I don't know if it was turning the tide of this game. I still think I favor Dark in this situation, but I favored Dark a hell of a lot more 10 minutes ago. Locust Wave over here, getting some kills in. Okay, one more siege tank. Looks like it will go down. But this army here for the Terran is scary. Banelings looking once again to connect with whatever they can. Dude, I think we need another battle cruiser. Another battle cruiser is not a bad idea. I understand that they're very expensive, though. Man, I'm actually really disappointed that... Oh, we actually have 2 battle cruisers going down in this game. I thought he only had 3 at some point. Okay, if he would have had 4 battle cruisers here, I actually do believe that this 44 and 48 kills on these. Anyways, I do actually think at that point it would probably be an advantage for Terran. With 2 more battle cruisers here? A Raven coming up as well. I love that. He doesn't have a lot of orbitals in this game. At least, you know, relatively speaking to what we normally see Maru playing with. Oh, good pickup right there on that weakened siege tank too. So a Raven is still going to give him detection, right? To see all of those creep tumors. Dark probably with the hands in his hair as well at this point. He's like, what in the world? How did this game just slip away? I got him contained on 4 bases. The 4 bases from the Terran were basically mined out. I was maxed out. He was at like 170. What just occurred over these last few minutes that suddenly now makes this a pretty playable game right here for the Terran player? Alright. Now this is a nice engagement though. Okay, Dark once again snatches up a bunch of those siege tanks. Now the Corruptors are moving forward. Banelings here in the meantime also trying to get some work done. This is first and foremost though distracting that army quite a bit. Another battlecruiser ended up going down. This hero battlecruiser, 51 kills, also gets picked off there. Couple of snipes right there to, at the very least, like strike back at the Zerg, but I don't think Dark really cares too much anymore about those Corruptors at this point in the game. That was a nice engagement right there from the Zerg. Getting a lot of damage in. Traits still not as efficient as you'd like them to be as a Zerg here, especially when playing Swarm Host, but he's been mining so much more. I mean, not with a lot of drones, but he has been mining a ton more bases. Okay, once again, Zerglings being obnoxious. Apparently, Maru has decided that the next point of attack is going to be towards the bottom right-hand corner. Now there's really not that many Hellbats here in the mix anymore. So siege tanks, okay, the pickups here are really nice. The siege tanks here are rather vulnerable. At the same time, though, the Roach Bane Ling army moving forward here as well. Come on. There you go. 30 additional SCVs end up going down. Maru with 3 workers and a Dream. Even Corruptors are just spraying over whatever they can. Man, this is some top-tier StarCraft. Alright. Looking at this right now, I do believe that this is going to be a dark victory. I mean, he's now doubling his opponent's supply. But he had to fight for it, right? Here come the Locust once again. Okay, now this time around, the Locust flank is really sweet as well. No pickup this time around either on the Medevac, so now the Roaches and the Ravagers and the Zerglings and the Banelings and the Infestor, they come streaming in, and just like that, Dark pushes back that force from the bottom right-hand corner. There's still ghosts though. Maru's like, I've got ghosts. I've got a group of ghosts. I've got a Raven. I'm not gonna give up. But I think he looked back around his bases. He realized that he had absolutely no mining anymore. And just like that, after a surprisingly close game, it's Dark who obtains the victory.